What is the purpose of a job cost sheet? A job cost sheet isn't just paperwork. It's actually a very valuable document to tell you if your job's profitable or not. Without a job cost sheet, it's like you're flying blind and just hoping for a smooth landing. By the end of this video, you're going to know what a job cost sheet is and also how wildly important it is to your entire profit vertical of your construction business. A couple weeks ago, I had the wild idea, because I've had a bucket list item my entire life that I want to learn how to fly. I just haven't done it yet, and I need to do it. And so a few weeks ago, I thought I'll go up with a guy and just kind of take a look around, see if I like it, see if it's something I want to do. So I went and booked what they call a discovery flight in Greenville, South Carolina. And so I got with this guy, he's a young guy in his 20s, and he walked me around the whole plane about 45 minutes. And you know what we did before we ever fired up the engine? We did a pre-flight checklist. I mean, it was detailed. We walked through every single inch of that plane, taking a look at this little instrument and that instrument and this door and this wheel and these brakes and all of those sorts of things. And quite frankly, it felt a little tedious over time. But you know what? I had a lot of confidence actually getting in that plane. And the moment we turned on to runway 19, about to take off, I was like, I feel pretty good about this. I've literally seen every square inch of this plane. And this guy seems to know what he's talking about. And we took off, had a wonderful flight. We're able to come back and land. And you know how old the plane was? 1964 was when that plane was built. Why did we have any confidence to go up in a plane so old? It's because of the pre-flight checklist. That's what a job costing sheet can be from a profitability standpoint for you as it relates to every single job within your construction business. So the purpose of the job cost sheet, pretty basic. Were we profitable or not? Or another way to put it, if we were to break it down, is what we actually profited from the job, what we budgeted on the job. There's a lot of times that you'll go for a job and you'll say, hey, we're gonna put this at a price, a fixed price or cost plus of $500,000 or $1 million or whatever your contract value of that thing is. And we do our very best in the estimating process to build out what we think the costs are actually going to be, whether it be the allowances, the selections, or we're actually looking at the cost of the things that are going to be the major drivers of that. Now, those major drivers, what we've done to make it easy for you is put them in a little acronym. Now, the I doesn't mean anything in the middle. It just helps us pronounce the word. But the acronym is what we call SLIME. So in every job cost, you need to consider these four major elements of the job cost. We're going to take the contract values represented by the box here, and then we're going to subtract out the subcontractors, the labor, the material, and the equipment. So subcontractors be things like your landscape contractor, your roofing contractor, or if you are a subcontractor yourself, you may subcontract crews, drivers, a variety of other people. Now you decide whether or not you want to put that under subs or labor. Sometimes these things kind of cross over a little bit, but labor is anything that's attached to the job that if the job wasn't there, you wouldn't hire them. So subcontractors and labor. The first section up here, SLIME, are going to be the people section of the costs that are going to be taken out of the contract value of the job. The second section of the SLIME are going to be more the material section of the SLIME. So if we put on here little material boxes, then we're looking at material and equipment. So we can put some wheels down here too and make this look like a tractor of some kind. And so we want to take the costs that are associated with materials. That's usually pretty easy. It could be the roofing shingles or the soil, topsoil that comes in or whatever. And then the equipment, sometimes this equipment is your equipment and sometimes it's somebody else's equipment. Regardless of what it is, it needs to have an associated with cost with it. So if it's your equipment, I want you to treat it like you're renting it from yourself. So think of yourself as your own rental agency if you've got some of your own equipment. And quite frankly, you need to run it like that. And you probably need to talk to either your attorney or accountant about taking some of that equipment out and putting it in its own LLC. There may be some tax advantages there. Again, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney, but you'll want to go talk to your advisors about how to potentially take some of that equipment and make it rentable to yourself. The other thing I want to draw your attention to is up here in the subcontractors and the labor. The IRS has very specific rules on how it treats subcontractors and who it considers to be a subcontractor based on your world. So make sure you do your study on that as well. Again, talk to your accountant to see what their advice is on that. Okay, so we're going to look at the job costs, budgeted and actual. Everything ought to go like this so that when you start, you actually create a budget based on your contract value. So let's imagine that this is contract value here. And then based on your cost of goods made up of your SLIME, so your cost of goods is made up of subs, labor, material, and equipment. So we're going to put cost of goods here. And so everything that's in this box right here is what's going to take away or subtract from the contract value and leave you with this box right here. This box is your gross profit or your gross margin, which allows you to drive your overhead. So when you go to build an estimate, This is essentially your budgeted estimate of what that job is both going to draw in revenue and cost in expense at that point. So once we do this, then we start working the job over and over and over again. Now, in working the job, too many construction owners and contractors and their team are not very good at the in-between right here. And the in-between is where this really breaks down. What do I mean by that? It's receipts, it's remembering expenses, it's tracking expenses, it's all that stuff that just feels tedious. Well, the good news is now we've got technology to be able to dramatically help, but there's still a gap. What is that? It's you. What do I mean by that? Thomas Edison said, vision without implementation is just hallucination. So if we had the vision of tracking all this stuff to get us an accurate job cost on the other side that's actually what we spend, actually what we brought in, we can't properly do that. Doesn't have good propriety if we have not properly tracked everything along the way. And so part of this is building a system for job costing and not just understanding the job costing. So I want you to go back to our pilot's checklist. Even tonight, I'm gonna hop on an airplane. You know what I hope that pilot does before I get on the plane? Her pre-flight checklist. I hope she walks through every step of that thing before she takes this building off filled with 150 people and we land on the other side. Why? It's because I want to make sure there's repetition and predictability and meaning around what it is that pilot's going to be doing. Well, we want to do the same with job costing. So really to do job costing, what you need to do is take the basic concept of it and boil it down in its component parts. Because I could job cost maybe just a little differently about how you job cost. So you need to create the system and then you need to train the system so that you've got good repetition and actually work the system. It's one thing to understand it. It's another thing to build it, but now we've got to work it. And when we work it, we can finally understand the actual. Wouldn't you love to go back to all the jobs that you've done in the past and go, were those really profitable? And now you look back and you're like, I think they were, I'm not quite sure if they are. It is amazing to watch a contractor who has this system built out because they can go back job by job over the last months, year and years and be able to get trends. And so now in the future, they can make better decisions like what jobs to take, what jobs to not take, who to hire, who not to hire. Should we leverage subs? Should we leverage our own in-house crew? All of those questions will be answered if you have good job costing, because we can look back and see what the fruits of that job costing have been in the past. So if you wanted to boil job costing down, it's understanding how much money's left over after what you've spent. But more importantly than that, if you had a list of 15, 20 questions in your business with proper job costing, you could probably answer the majority of those based on the data that you got from job costing. So what's the gap? The gap is right here in the middle, and that's working the system. So let me give you a solution to that gap. Go click on the link in the description below. I have got a full-length training course on how to build a system for your construction business that directly attacks that one issue of working the system. It not only shows you the system that should exist in your construction business, but it also shows you how to create that repetition, predictability, and meaning so you can take an element like job costing, understanding the job health job by job, and start to work it into a full system of your construction business. And instead of running your construction business that can only run and grow when you're around, you can actually build a construction business that will run and grow with or without you. And you know what that does? It ultimately liberates you from chaos to make time for the things that matter most.